before I start this video, I would like to just state that my mother was in full Black Mother force today. Usually, like, I'm okay with people or my mother asking me questions during an episode of something because, you know, she doesn't know the show, I know the show, she wants to be involved, that's cool. Except it's a brand new episode of Game of Thrones, and I'm not here for that right now. Like, I don't have time to, like, I'm trying to pay attention so I can catch clues and everything like that, and she's coming with me with all this. I'm just kind of like, she's so like, every time something happens, she's like, oh, what's that? Oh, is that girl? Oh, that's the one with the dragon. She's funny. Oh, did they really kill them kids? Every time her mouth opened, my face was just like, I was done. I was like, Mommy, I love you. In my mind, I'm like, I can't tell you nothing because you're going to curse my ass out and tell me how you pay for the cable so you can say whatever you want. I'll be like, okay, that's true. But I was like, okay, never again. First of all, how's the episode going to start at 9:06? Really, bitches? Like, 9:06, and then you still end at 9:56? Like, what are you doing? Like, what? This is the highlight of my weekend. It's Korra on Saturday, Game of Thrones on Sunday. Why are you trying to make this shorter for me? I already have to wait a whole week. God damn. Jurassic Park motherfuckers upstairs. Why are you making this harder for me? Why can't you just let me enjoy what I want to enjoy? So we open up with Yara coming to see Theon, and she basically cuts him out and tells him, like, you were stupid for what you did because we are Ironborn. We take what's ours. That is true, and that's what you did. But you took these kids' homes, and you thought that they were just going to stay there and just be prisoners. Them leaving was brave because they knew what the risk was, but they did it anyway. And she's like, what you did was stupid because you really thought that a 10-year-old and 8-year-old were going to just leave. Like, he compared himself to them last episode, but it's a totally different situation. I mean, you lived a whole boat ride away. You can't get home. They live in the north. They have plenty of places for them to go. So, of course, they're going to try and escape, dumbass. Yara then tries to encourage Theon to leave with her because, you know, people are going to want him dead. They're going to come after her, and their father wants him back because they can't. Winterfell is not, like, good for them because it's away from the sea. It takes them a whole ass and a minute to get there, and they need to be by the water. They're sea people. So them being in Winterfell does not help them. If they were going to recapture the north, they would want to, like, be closer to the sea. This is useless to them. He's captured useless territory for them. So she wants him to leave. He doesn't want to. His pride makes him want to stay and prove himself through this. And then you get Yara talking to Theon about how when he was little, he would just cry, and she wanted to smother him because he wouldn't shut up. But then when Theon as a baby looked at her, he stopped crying. And so she does care about Theon, and she wants him to be safe. But she also is just like, look, I'm not going to make you come, I'm not going to drag your ass here, be smart. But Theon doesn't want to be smart, he wants to be proud. And this is his hubris in motion, what's going to happen to him as the show continues. Ygritte brings Jon to meet the Lord of Skulls, or whatever the fuck Skeletor's name is, I forget, to go see Mance Rayder because they've captured him and they could use his information. And because Jon is, you know, Ned Stark's bastard and ruler of Winterfell, that represents a lot of oppression for the wildlings, so they decide to take Jon and another member of the Night's Watch, the ranger that we've been seeing, I forget his name, I apologize, to go see Mance. And the ranger tells Jon that they tried to find him, that they found his tracks, but the wildlings found them first and killed the rest of them, so it's just the two of them left. Robb and Valestria girl talk, and this scene was only important to me because you got to see the difference between how the North rules and how the rest of Westeros was being ruled at this time. Ned was a great ruler. He cared about his people. He cared about, you know, taking care of them, supporting them, and making sure that they felt comfortable in the roles that they played in society. And that's why the Northmen love Ned. Why the Northmen will follow Robb even though he's young and unexperienced, because he comes from good stock. The people who ruled Westeros have ruled it since the beginning, and so their family holds a lot of power because they have ruled through wisdom and strength. They're like the first, round of Roman emperors who made Rome great, like Caesar Augustus and people like that. That is who the Starks are. Now, down in the south, you get a bunch of hedonistic people who have, they have better weather, they have better conditions, so they are more relaxed, and they care more about, hedonistic lifestyles in comparison to those who live in the north. And so, you see that the north has managed to survive as long as it has, especially with such a big territory, because the north is about, if I believe correctly, about half of Westeros is just the north. It's a huge territory, but all those people will still fly under the banner of the Starks because of how great it was being ruled before. So I thought that scene was only important for that, because I don't care about Robb and this chick. Like, this storyline to me is to make stuff easier for the audience later on, which is fine. Later on you see Robb and her have sex, which was only somewhat decent because you got to see topless Richard Madden. But other than that, I'm just like, look, this is really for the audience who doesn't know what's going to happen, to kind of build this relationship, because it happens off screen. So I understand that change, and I don't really have a problem with it. It's not like I'm just not interested. I don't really care about these two people. I think there are other things to talk about besides this girl and this whole monologue about her brother almost drowned, and that was made her become a nurse, and that's when they have sex. Because talking about dead siblings really just gets my rocks off, The next scene that we see after the initial Robb and Valestria girl is when Robb finds out that Kat let Jaime go in order to get Sansa and Arya. I hate this part. And let me explain this to you. And let me just be clear. Yes, I know there have to be changes. This is not complaining about a change because it changed. It's complaining about a change because of the nature of what it makes Kat's character look like. They have been slowly chopping down Kat's political role in the show. From the beginning, they have been cutting it down and just putting her into maternal role. They've been giving a lot of Kat savvy politically to other people, other family members like Ned and Robb, slowly and surely. And that irritates me. But this thing irritates me the most because it's an accumulation of everything. And I'm sorry to bring it up, but I am. In the books, Kat only lets Jaime go because she's just heard that Rickon and Bran are dead. She thinks her two sons have been slaughtered. So, in a sense of emotion, she releases Jaime into Brienne's possession in a desperate attempt to try to get her two remaining children that she thinks are in King's Landing. It is done in response to a very emotional event, to a very emotional situation. So the fact that it's like somewhat illogical makes sense in the books because she just thinks that she just lost two of her children, so she's going to do whatever she can to get her other two back. In this scene, she doesn't know that Rickon and Bran are dead. And so when the other guy's talking about how like his children have been dead and if they were in prison it'd be so much better, it makes her look so much worse. Because in the books you could be like, yeah, that was stupid, but you can understand why. In this, they took out her very motivation for doing such an emotional thing. They make her look so like that. I hated that watching that scene because it's like, you don't get this character. You really truly don't, because you totally ripped that away from her. They have given Kat good stuff, don't get me wrong, but they, at the very center of who her character is, they seem to just not get it and seem to just want to make her an easier character to write. And it bothers me because she's so much more than that. And even though she still lets him go and it's still a silly decision, you get why. In this, they totally ruined it. And I was really upset. Thankfully, after we get, Jaime and Brienne road trip beginnings, and Jaime's just sassy and snarky, and I love Jaime. You have no idea. Like, in the beginning, when I was reading the books, in the first book, hated Jaime. I wished death upon him. I was like, whatever, go away. Third book on, if Jaime dies, I'm going to cry. He's one of my favorite characters. I love him, and so I just love, how Brienne is such an important foil to Jaime because she's so honor and noble. She's pretty much a Tully and a Stark smushed together. And so I'm really looking forward to how they make it look like they play off of each other throughout this match. I love how Jaime's always just trying to like, hey, just fight me. Like, no one's gonna fight you. Like, stop trying to like push a fight. They're not gonna fight you. because they know that's what you're trying to do. Like, you're not smart, Jaime. It's not your strong suit. We see Tywin and his war council. They're kind of trying to tell Tywin to let Cersei and Joffrey leave because Stannis is coming, and Stannis is, badass mofo. They can't handle that swagger. So they let's just leave. Tywin's like, he ain't going out like that. That he is going to move under cover of night to try and escape to try to get to King's Landing to kind of help his son and his grandson and his family's troops. So Arya, realizing that, oh shit, she's got to kill Tywin, she tries to find Jaqen to try and get him to kill Tywin Lannister. But she doesn't get to him in time, and Tywin gets to leave. And this scene, to me, is like... I think I'll save my thoughts about this whole situation for my changes video, but, her waiting so long to kill Tywin until now seems silly in the way it's presented now. But I'll get into that later. But I was glad to see that, she was like, oh crap, I could have done this, but I didn't, and so I did enjoy seeing her get frustrated, and I was hoping that they weren't going to let her find Jaqen, and they didn't, so I was like, yes. Tyrion and Bronn. Bronn's picking his nails, and Tyrion's like, do you have to do that here? Why don't you dress better? You're a knight's, you're a gold cloak now. He's like, I don't want to do that shit, sorry. I'm gonna be me. And then they're trying to figure out a way to combat Stannis' forces, because they don't have enough men, but they have a shit ton of books, but not enough books or enough men to do anything. And then the Spider comes in. The Spider's in my top 10 of favorite characters in Game of Thrones. He is fantabulous. I love him. He just is so sassy. I love the way he's played. Everything about him is perfect. Perfectly perfect in every way. They talk about how there's been a steady decrease in theft because Bronn has been taking out all these people. And Tywin's like, why? And he's like, because during a siege, food is the first thing to go, because everyone wants to, the thieves take it because they know how much it's going to be worth. And when people start to starve and panic looking for money, they're going to make out like bandits because they're going to have all this food, can charge whatever they want, and the poor will start eating and killing each other for this stuff, and that creates turmoil inside the walls during a siege. And so he's taking steps and precautions to help that from happening. And then they had this funny where about to pronounce this really weird long ass name that then the Spider comes and sets everyone straight with his phonetics because he's hooked on common. So that was just a really entertaining scene. I loved it. Bronn is great. That character, they really evolved him in a really, really great way. Sam and two of the other Night Watch guys that they hang out with and part of Jon's crew find these markings underneath the snow from the First Men, and it's filled with some pieces of dragon's glass and some obsidian thing, I believe, and they're wondering why it was found. It's a very short scene, but it plays into stuff later, but it was still a good scene. Arya goes to Jaqen again, and she is mad at him for not being around when she needed him to kill Tywin, and so she names him to be the one to be killed, and he's freaking out. Not physically, but you can see that he does not want this to be done. He even tells her, please. And so she tells him that if he helps her, Hot Pie, and Gendry to escape, she will let him name free. And so I like this scene because it shows the darker parts of Arya's mentality coming into the forefront. And I was so afraid, with her and with Tyrion, I'm very afraid that they're gonna try and make them sympathetic all the way through. Cersei is pissed off because Tyrion wants Joffrey to be in battle, and Joffrey kind of wants to be in battle too. But on a side note real quick, since when is Joffrey 17? When did that happen? Cersei doesn't want him to fight, and she is talking about how because she doesn't have a penis, doesn't have a cock, she isn't ruled by her hormones or her emotions, and she tells Tyrion that she has his whore and that she will torture her and hurt her in any way that she sees fit, especially whatever happens to Joffrey will happen to Shay. And, you know, Tyrion is trying to be like, I don't really like her, but she's like, nope, you do, I can tell. And so, like, he's like, how do I know? And she's like, bring her in. I was praising the old gods and knew when I saw Ross. I was just like, yes, yes, they actually made this bitch count for something. Tyrion says, like, I'll try to get you anyway. So he plays it and makes it seem like this is his mistress whore person, and they take Roz away. And he tells Cersei that one day she's going to get this back 10 times, and one day her joy's gonna just turn to ash in her mouth, and she's just like smug, like, I got your whore, and Tyrion seriously is like, no you don't, dumbass. And then he goes to see Shay because he's worried about her, so he runs into the room, but she's okay. And you can tell that Tyrion loves Shay. This is another reason why I'm kind of nervous about the whole thing with Tyrion. Like, I really hope that they kind of show that, like, Shay is a whore. She is a prostitute. She is a lived-in prostitute, but she's a prostitute nonetheless. Like, dude, why are you putting all these affections into a woman that you pay for? Like, that's why she's with you, because you have money. And, you know, they made Shay a much stronger character than she was in the books. I do think I didn't like her in the books because of a comment she made when another character got raped. But in the show, she's been very, very great. So I want to know how that will play into later stuff. But anyway, still excited. I love that she didn't get hurt. Robb is worried about his brothers, about what's going on with them. And then Talisa, Valestia girl, comes in. And it's funny, I talk about you, like, talks about, like, how she misses, how her brother almost drowned one day, and some slave saved the brother, and because of that, she wanted to become a nurse. The whole time, just sitting there, just kind of like, I'm not interested. I don't care. Please move on. They have sex, I'm guessing, on the floor. It's all very forced and awkward, and I was happy to see Richard Madden shirtless. They didn't take off his pants, so I was obviously disappointed because I see this woman's ass in my face, but I get no ass from Richard Madden. I'm just like, well, this has been a disappointing day. Then we see Arya, Hot Pie, and Gendry. There's guards. They see guards standing outside the gates, but Jaqen said that they could just walk out, and Hot Pie's like, we can't do that. Gendry's like, it's a trick. But Arya's just like, I'm leaving, bitches. Bye-bye. So she starts walking. They follow her, and as they walk, they see that all the guards have been killed. So they free to go. It's just like, bitches, just slide on out. So they're free now. And then we go back to Stannis. Stannis is Loki. And I'm so glad we got to get some backstory on Stannis and his character, because he did so much shit for Robert and didn't get a goddamn thing. He is Loki up in this bitch, okay? He is Loki, Renly is Thor, and Robert's kind of like Odin and Thor. But anyway, he's getting screwed over. Like, the whole story about how, you know, when he and Davos were talking about what happened when he was holding Storm's End, I was kind of like, dude, you handled that so much better than I would have. I would have been pissed. I'd be like, Robert, what? I ate rats and cats and dogs, and you want to give me some bullshit? Fuck you. Rebellion Part 2, motherfucker, because I would not be playing them games. You know, he took orders. He did what Robert did because Robert was his brother. That was his liege. That was his duty. And he did it. And he did it honorably, you know? But now it's his turn. And so people should do what's honorable and support him because he is the rightful heir to the throne according to Robert's legacy. And when everything happens, Davos is going to be his hand because Davos was the one who came and saved him and his wife and his people. So that's who's going to be his hand, because that's the person who he sees as being reliable and being noble and being above all the petty bullshit. And I feel like this scene really showed why I love Stannis. Stannis is a great character, and this made almost made up for him not being in, like, what, 4 episodes? Like, dude, really? Stannis is, like, super important. But he hasn't been in a bunch of episodes, and so this scene really, like, made me just like, oh, you're my boy, Stannis. I'm rooting for you the whole way through, man. Got it. Then we get Joffrey walking around talking about, oh, yeah, I'm gonna kill my Uncle Stannis. I'm gonna go up to him and give him a red smile like he's the fucking Joker or some shit. Like, please, sit your little scrawny ass down. But the Spider and Tyrion talk. about how, you know, Tyrion never thought he was going to have this kind of responsibility. Like, his brother had the fame, his sister had the crown. He was a dwarf. He was treated with nothing, and even though he made accomplishments in what he was given, he didn't get recognition for what he did. And now he's the hand, and he's a good hand because he knows how to play the Game of Thrones. He knows how to be smart and sneaky, and he's willing to do what it takes. And so he's doing this for self-preservation. You know, Tyrion is a good man in the sense that, like, he understands the underdog. He understands, you know, what it's like to have privilege but also not to have privilege. He understands what it's like to suffer. So, but he also cares about himself. He cares about living. Like, he could literally give, like, he loves himself, Shay now. He probably cares somewhat about Bronn. His niece and nephew, Tommen and Marcella, and Jaime. That's his family. That's who he cares about. That's it. He is still a Lannister. He is still all about self-preservation, all that good Slytherin shit. But he also can understand the average person in some ways. And so I love this scene because like he wants to win this, not just for the people, because that's nice too, but it's for him. This is what he feels he's owed. He has worked so hard for what he has done, and now he gets to see the fruits of that. And so this fight is for him as much as it is for anybody else. Then they had to just, you know, pigeonhole Dany into something. Like, why did they do this scene? Like, I don't understand. Like, you gave her 1-2 second scene talking about, like, I need to find my dragons. We know. You said the same thing for 2 episodes. Just go to fucking House of the Undying. Like, why do you need Jorah's permission? Just fucking go. With the whole Bran and Rickon being killed, they didn't even try to make it look like it could actually be a possibility. You know, it wasn't done in a way that would make you believe, oh shit, they're really dead. Because and then in this episode, they just show you, no, they're not dead. There's also trying to get them bred and sneaking into the crypts. And it was good to see them hiding in the crypts because that's in the books, and I wanted to see them in there. That's a really interesting thing about how they're just hiding really underneath Tyrion's nose. But at the same time, it's kind of like you could have done that in like the last episode, like to make it seem like they had been gone for a while. You even have, you know, Theon going to pay the farmer. And he almost looks up and says why he's paying the farmer. So I'm just like, you're not even trying to make this like seem like it really happened. Like, you couldn't fake this out any better. So that kind of irritated me. Like, in the books, you could believe that they were actually dead because shit happens like that in Game of Thrones. It's real. This is real work. This is real life. This is real work. But in this episode, it's kind of like, okay, you didn't really give a fuck about this storyline to make it like really drag out. Which is fine to a degree, but at the same time, like, that's like, I wish they had done more with that and tried to make it a little bit more interesting. But Bran now feels this guilt because he overhears Osha and Lewin talking about how the farmers' boys were killed in their place. And that's how the episode ends. And Bran has a little sad face. My poor baby. I love him. It's a few issues, but still, highlight of my Sunday. But next week's episode, that shit's gonna rock my fucking world. And I'm so excited. So much Sansa, so much Hound. Don't give a fuck. Loving it. And if they ruin Sansa or the Hound in next week's episode, it's gonna be me and HBO. It's gonna be me and HBO. Like, I don't mind. Like, no, you can't do this to me. You already ruin or mess up or change all of Sansa's shit already. Give me this. This is all I ask. Just give me this and let me have my little bit of Sansa love, okay? Please and thank you.